Hi everybody, I'm Natalie with Missouri Star Quilt Company and I'm here with Misty.
Hey guys.
It's double take week.
Woo.
And today our challenge block is the squirrel in a cage block. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and go first. My quilt is on the wall behind us and I'm calling it Squirrel Tracks.
Perfect.
It's slightly different from the original, but I think you're gonna love it. So let's get started. Okay, so to make my quilt, you'll need a package of 10-inch squares, and I've used Watermark by Tamara Kate for Windham Fabrics. You'll need about ½ a yard of accent fabric, 3½ yards of background fabric, and for your outer border, you'll need 1¼ yards, and I've used the same fabric for my accent and my outer border. For your backing, you'll need about 5 yards with a vertical seam, or 2 1/8 if you use 108-inch wide fabric.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so it's gonna be fun. Let's get started. Okay, so this is really fun. I'm excited about how this turned out. I think it looks really cute. This is the block we're going for.
Yeah.
So basically all I did, the original squirrel in a cage is this part, and I just added some flying geese in these little, where this bar block is, and I think it's fun.
It turned out really cute.
All right, so from our background fabric, we're gonna cut some 4½ inch squares. We're gonna cut some 2½ by 4½ inch bar blocks and some 2½ inch squares. So I've got all of that cut and ready to go. From our accent, we're just gonna need a bunch of 2½ inch squares, and you'll see that all over the quilt. So all of our accent makes up this little block here, and also our cornerstones.
Perfect.
Now you can get a couple from your layer cake from some matching sets, but I've cut them all from accent fabric today. Also, we're going to select matching sets for everything.
Okay.
So we'll need 2 of each color, and this particular layer cake has doubles of everything. So if your layer cake doesn't have that, you may want to get 2, or just, you know,
it's
work
gonna
out.
be scrappy.
It could be scrappy.
Yes.
You could definitely do things that coordinate or look similar or whatever.
Yep.
So this layer cake comes with matching sets. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna cut 2 4½ inch strips, and I've got them stacked, so I'm being efficient here. So I'm gonna cut 2 4½ inch cuts. All right, so we're gonna need 3 4½ inch strips. So I'm gonna pull this off and cut my last 4½ inch strip. And then these get subcut into 4½ inch squares. And you're gonna do this from all of your layer cake sets, all of those 10-inch squares. All right, so we're cutting 4 4½ inch squares. I've got 3 here. I need 1 more 4½ inch square. So I'm gonna pull that off. And you don't have to stack up all your fabrics like I am. You can just cut 4 4½ inch squares and 4 4½ by 2½ bar blocks. So I'm gonna get those bar blocks from this section here. So that's 2, and this will be 4. All right, I'm gonna stack those up, and then I'm going to need 2½ inch squares. So I'm gonna cut this down, 2½ and 2½, and then we'll subcut these. And essentially you wanna keep these in matching colors, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix and match for the whole quilt. So of all of these cuts, you'll be able to make several different blocks. But if you keep them stacked up in their matching colors, you'll be able to select what you need for each block and mix and match which things you use for each block. So you'll get everything you need. Oh, there we go. All right, so this block is made up of 2 different units. So what we're gonna do is make 4 units that look just like this, and we're gonna make 4 units that look just like this. So we've got our bar and our flying geese, and then this is just a 4½ inch block that's snowballed on all 4 corners.
Perfect.
Okay, so let's start with our flying geese. So we're gonna take one of our background units, and we are going to snowball the little 4½ by 2½ with our purple squares.
Purple print.
So I've drawn the line on this one. You can draw the line, or you can use your seam tape or press it, however you like to do that.
Okay.
But we're gonna start by doing one there, and then we'll do one on the other corner. Sewing right on the line. I know sometimes we do like on it or next to it. I'm gonna go ahead and trim this. And I just line that up on the seam line 1/4 inch away and press it. Because these overlap, you want to go ahead and trim and press. You can chain piece a whole bunch once you get into it, but we're going to do one at a time today. And then we're going to add our second snowball. It overlaps, and you want that to overlap so that you keep that little point right there. And you can, I don't typically like to start from the point, but it can also feel weird if you start
if you're
from
starting
the other
in
end.
the middle, so
Yeah.
no worries.
It can go either way though, whatever is most comfortable for you.
Okay, there you go.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and trim this one and press it. Set the seam. Makes
Roll
things
it back.
come out a little bit crisper and roll that back. And then we're gonna add our bar block to the top here. Go ahead and stitch that down, and that part will be made.
The first unit will be all done.
Yes, and you're gonna do that 4 times for each block.
There is that.
All right. So I'll set that seam and press that back. Roll it back. And then we've got all of those. So I've, you know, it's like a cooking show, right? You've
Yes.
already got some of these
ready to
made.
go.
So I'm gonna set those aside, and now it's time to go ahead and make this block. So then you're gonna select your 4.5 inch square. And what we're gonna do on this one is we're gonna put our accent color on one corner, and then we're gonna background color the other 3 squares. So we'll do these 2 at a time doing your opposite corners. And they go in the same direction. So these line up this way, and then these ones will line up the opposite way.
Perfect.
So I'll give you those to go ahead and stitch both of these. And because they overlap, you can do your opposite corners.
Right.
And then
trim, and then we can
trim
add
them,
the
press them
others.
back, and do the other 2.
Yeah. It's a good little time-saving hack
Yeah,
to do 2 at a time.
it works pretty well.
Yep, so I've just...
Is our tension good? Oh yeah, that
think
looks
so.
great.
I think
it
it's
just
good.
looked a little
like it
little sus.
was tired at the very beginning.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, we're good.
Good, good, good. Always got to pay attention to your tension, because you don't want to sew through the whole thing
No, you
and then
don't.
have to do it again.
It's a sad day.
Yes. Alrighty. So these are trimmed. I'm going to set my seam and roll these back and roll that one back. And then we will go ahead and add 2 more snowballed corners. And these go in the opposite direction to the first 2 that we did.
Perfect.
Stitching right on the line.
And flip it around.
Yep. It's pretty efficient actually. It sets up really well for chain piecing.
There we go.
Alrighty. So we'll trim these. I do love snowballing things. I feel like it can just elevate the quilt and turn it into
I think
something
so,
completely
too.
different.
Yep.
All right. Let's set these and roll them back. And all 4 of these corners are done the same way, and then you just turn them so that they point the direction you want them to. So we're ready to assemble this block now.
All right.
So we've got these made. So I'm gonna scoot this stuff out of the way. And these are all the things that you'll need for all the rest of your blocks.
Right.
So, but what we're gonna do, oops, I need one of my 4.5 inch background squares for the center. I almost forgot that. And then our bar blocks face to the middle. I always love putting blocks together because it's like, oh, that's how
It's
that goes.
It's like
so
a puzzle,
cool.
you know?
Yes.
You can put all those pieces together, especially that final piece. So satisfying.
It is. All right, so these face the inside, and then our accent squares also face the inside corners. I do think these would look cool, scrappy.
Yeah. So
And there you
cute.
have it. So then you can just stitch that together and you've got your block.
It's absolutely beautiful.
All right, so in the quilt, we've got a 4 across the top by 5 down. And then these are your little cornerstones. These are 12.5-inch blocks. And we've added a 5-inch outer border. And that's it.
And what did you do for the backing?
Oh, let me show you the backing. It's this really fun fabric that
that's
has
so
all
pretty.
the colors. And it's such a pretty, like, soft watercolory line. All right, so we machine quilted it with free swirls. It's one of our patterns that we've had forever, and I just think it's lovely and very, like, traditional and elegant.
It's beautiful.
It's 67 by 81, which is perfect for like a twin bed or a lap quilt, picnic quilt size. So it's really fun. So I think you're up next.
Of course. All right, so this is my quilt. I called it Out of the Box, and even though it looks so different, it's actually very similar to Natalie's.
They are so similar.
Because they're inspired by that same squirrel in a cage block.
Right.
So to make this quilt, you're going to need 1 package of 10-inch squares, and I use Insectarium by Tamara Kate for Windham Fabrics. You're also going to need 1 3/4 yards of background fabric, and for your border, you're going to need 1 yard. For your backing, you need 3 5/8 yards with horizontal seams or 1 7/8 of a 108. I just use this bright pink. So let me show you how to make this. Okay, so my entire quilt is made up of this block right here. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is from your background, you're going to cut some 4.5-inch squares, and that's all you need out of your background.
I love that.
And then you are going to pick some contrasting 10-inch squares from your pack. Just want to make sure you have a lot of contrast there so you can still see the pattern. And then we're going to begin by lining these up. And at first we'll cut a 5-inch strip off of one side. And so now what I'm going to have you do now, I'll put these right sides together, and we are going to sew a 1/4-inch seam on both of the long sides.
Ooh.
So I'll have you do that.
Okay.
And then while she's working on that, I'm going to subcut my other half of these squares into 2.5-inch strips and then subcut them into 2.5-inch squares.
My seam might be a little narrow there.
It's all right. It'll all work out.
Okay.
There we go. And then now I'm going to split these up by print just to give myself a little bit of organization.
All right.
There we go. And then now once she has completed that, I am going to cut this into 4.5-inch rectangles. 1 and 2. And then I will cut this in half at 2.5.
Check that seam.
It's a little narrow, but I bet it'll be
You'll be
fine.
okay? All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you're cutting in between your seams, and that's going to give us our bar blocks. All right, and so we will cut this last set in half, and now we can press open all of our bar blocks. So we'll begin, we'll set these seams. And I'm actually going to put the darker.
That is a great hack for speeding up the process.
It just makes it go really
that.
quick.
Yeah.
So roll it back so that my seam is behind the darker fabric. All right, so once we have those pressed, that portion of our block is complete and we can move on to our snowballing.
Nice.
And so for our corner units, we're going to take 4 of our 4.5-inch squares. I have some of these already done, so we'll just do 1.
Okay.
And we're going to begin by putting 2 of our yellow squares in opposite corners.
Awesome.
And again, like Natalie said, we could draw the line, but we have the diagonal seam tape, so I'll let you go ahead and do that.
Okay. I do love this seam tape. It's just so convenient.
It is. Definitely a time saver.
So the diagonal seam tape is great because it has these 3 lines, and the red line is the one that you line up point to point when you're stitching across the middle. And then if you wanted to stitch on the either side of that line, you would scoot it over to the quarter inch.
One of the black lines.
One of the black lines, yeah. It's great.
So she's just got her needle right on that first point, and then the opposite corner.
And then I just watch that point as it stays in line with the red line right down the middle.
Yep. All right. So now that she's stitched those right point to point, we'll cut off the excess, leaving our 1/4 inch seam allowance. Just like so. Then I will press these back. And then the last step for this unit is we're going to take one of our contrasting squares and add it to one of those open corners.
Does it matter which corner?
It won't, because you're going to rotate it anyway. So
awesome.
There you go. And I have the rest of those ready.
There you go.
Beautiful. So we'll go ahead and trim that one. And then roll this back. And then in the exact same way that Natalie did her snowballs, for the center of our block, we're going to use that secondary fabric that we chose to snowball all 4 sides of our middle. And I've gone ahead and done that just because I figured it's the same thing we've done.
So
but the magic is you have the exact number of all the pieces you need. There's no excess at all.
Yeah.
It's a perfect use of fabric. So let's go ahead and lay this out now that we have all of our pieces. So this is our center. And then those bar blocks are going to go in with the contrasting fabric touching. That's what you're looking for. There we go. And then from these, we're going to have the corner that has no snowball going into the center.
I love that.
And it's just so fun because the components are so similar.
Yeah.
But the quilts look so vastly different. And then when you sew them together, there's your finished block.
It's so great.
So simple. And so then let's look at the quilt behind me. I just put them directly together, no sashing. And so you get 1, 2, 3, 4 across by 5 down. And then I added a 5-inch outer border here, and I quilted it with ginger snap, which is just a fun kind of curly pattern.
It is cute.
And then here, of course, is that pink backing. You can really see the quilting there.
Very nice.
Super fun. It finishes 57 by 69, so a great throw size and just super quick and easy.
That's so awesome. Well, this has been so fun. I think both quilts turned out great. They're different and
very
interesting.
different. And it's just such a good reminder to all of us that when we, pick inspiration, we're all going to come up with something completely unique. And so
yes, and you can change your quilt completely just by changing one element of it.
Exactly. And so our inspiration was the squirrel in the cage, and we've got 2 great quilts. So we hope you enjoyed this double take from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.